Welcome, fellow explorers. My name is Christian Alexanderson, and this is Hemlocks to Hellbenders, a podcast highlighting Pennsylvania's parks, forests, and great outdoors. If you've ever stood beside a cold mountain stream at first light, mist rising off the water, hemlocks towering overhead, and the gentle sound of moving water, then you already understand the magic of Little Pine State Park. Tucked deep in the rugged country of north-central Pennsylvania, this park is where brook trout still thrive, where the mountains become majestic green waves, and where a simple weekend can feel like a full reset. Don't we all deserve that? At its heart flows Little Pine Creek, which eventually winds its way toward the legendary waters of Pine Creek and the Pennsylvania Grand Canyon. The warm and cold waters of Little Pine Creek and Little Pine Lake make the park the perfect place to catch trout, smallmouth bass, pickerel, sunfishes, catfishes, and perch. But Little Pine is more than just a fishing destination. It's a story of conservation, of civilian conservation corps craftsmanship, of reclaimed forests and carefully managed waters. It's a place where families pitch tents beneath the stars, where kayaks glide across the lake, and where generations return year after year to reconnect with something slower, steadier, and deeply Pennsylvanian. Heading into the valley, there's just so much for visitors to explore. You can delve into the area's fascinating history of native cultures, discover how conservation efforts rebuilt ancient forests, find out about the vast network of trails in and outside of the park, and learn about the ways you can enjoy a day on the water. Little Pine State Park is a quiet treasure, a special place. Completely surrounded by Ty-Dotton State Forest, Little Pine offers the escape many of us crave. If you ignored the modern roads, buildings, and signs, it's easy to see what this place looked like 200 years ago. A big, beautiful tract of forest that gets more wonderful every minute you spend in it. Where your nostrils are filled with the sweet smell of the woods and not with car exhaust. Where your ears are filled with songbirds, not honking horns. Where you can get away, but still feel right at home. But before we learn more about the park, here's the stats. Little Pine State Park is a 2,150-acre park located in Lycoming County. Available activities include hiking, hunting, fishing, boating, swimming, picnicking, wildlife viewing, a shooting range, winter activities, and overnight accommodations. A notable feature of the park is that it's surrounded by Ty-Dotton State Forest. The park is named after the Little Pine Creek that runs through the park. Nearby towns include Jersey Mills, Carsontown, and Waterville. State lands that are close by include State Game Land 75, 89, and 114, as well as Upper Pine Bottom, Heiner Run, and Heiner View State Parks, and Ty-Dotton State Forest. You may enjoy the park if you enjoy a beautiful mountain setting. I'm excited to welcome Haley Redmond to the podcast. Haley is the manager of the Little Pine State Park Complex. Haley, thanks so much for joining the program.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
How would you describe the park to someone who's never been there before?
I would describe Little Pine as breathtaking, honestly, and a hidden gem in the Pennsylvania wilds. And it almost feels like you're in a gateway to the Pine Creek Gorge and the Pine Creek rail trail. It is not necessarily a hidden gem, but to me, it really feels that way because we aren't the Grand Canyon, but we're like I said, the gateway to the Grand Canyon. It almost feels like.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's one of those parks that you find, and then all of a sudden, when you get there, you're like, when you're surrounded by so many parks, it's sometimes hard to stand out, but I think Little Pine still does that.
Yeah, it does. And that's what I like to tell people when they come is like, you have so much opportunity ahead of you when you're here at Little Pine.
The land that became Little Pine State Park was occupied by American Indians. What do we know about how they used the land?
Yeah, so the land that is Little Pine really was more of a hunting ground for the Native Americans that were in the area. So it could be described more as the livelihood and the trying to survive for the Iroquois. And mostly in the area, it was the men that did the hunting, and they would take back whatever they got for the day. And then the women would actually, cook the food and provide for the rest of the tribe. So it was typically you'd find the Iroquois in the area, but there was also the Susquehannock tribe. But most of them, by whatever time period, it was the 1800s, I believe, had moved down south towards Maryland. So this was really just like a quiet, quaint hunting area for them rather than, their tribes. Most of their tribes were in New York, actually.
The park also played an important part in the logging boom in the 19th and early 20th centuries. What do we know about the park's logging past?
Yeah, so I mean, the area really was logged completely. So at one point, all these beautiful trees that you see now were gone, and it was just bare land. So in the mid 1800s, the Little Pine Creek and the Big Pine Creek logs were rafted to Williamsport, and then down into Lancaster County, and even further south to Maryland. And typically, your farmers were actually the rafters. So it's a pretty interesting logging past. And, you don't think of it too much now because we're surrounded by trees. But at one point, it would have been, yeah, completely barren and just. I can only, imagine what it would have looked like with all those rafters on Pine Creek and down to the Susquehanna River.
Yeah, and I always like to bring that up because it's a very important reminder that Pennsylvania was once almost entirely logged.
Yeah, yeah. And now, we think of there's just so many spots, like especially up here in the state forests that are just trees. Like that's all you can see are trees. So to picture like no trees is kind of insane. But it is what got people to this area and originally, that's how a lot of the towns became Carson Town and English Center, all those areas were here because of the logging.
The park has 14 miles of hiking trails. Do you have any trail recommendations?
Yeah, so my favorite trail is Panther Run. It's kind of like I don't know, like a little bit of everything. You have rock outcrops at the top, and it's like single track the whole way up and really steep, but it's a lot of fun. And then the other one that I really like that is in the same area as Panther Run is Love Run. And I like to take Love Run to Midstate, which now you're getting into the forest, but that area is just stunning. It's like I don't even know how to describe it. Like just the valley and the ridge that you're on is like it's just incredible. And it's quiet. It's really just a wonderful trail.
Little Pine State Park is surrounded by a beautiful mountain section of Tydoton State Forest. Do you have any recommendations for people who want to explore the state forest?
Yeah, so there's a ton of mountain roads that lead to vistas and trails that lead to vistas. So I think just taking time to experience everything that Dotton has to offer with the views and the trails. I love the Midstate Trail, and that runs through Dotton State Forest. So anytime people ask me, I always recommend the Midstate Trail. And like I said, the vistas are just breathtaking. I mean, you get to some of these like super quiet and in the middle of nowhere, and you can just see the expanse of the area, and it really just makes you feel like you I don't know, like you have so much time to think and so much alone time to experience the nature that really is surrounding you while you're in the area.
Yeah, that's wonderful. How do you see visitors using the 45-acre Little Pine Lake?
Mostly fishing and kayaking. So in the summertime and early spring, a lot of people are now starting to, the lake's starting to thaw, and people are transitioning from ice fishing to now just your regular fishing, especially kayaking. That's extremely popular this time of year and well into the summer.
What sort of fish can you catch in Little Pine Lake and Little Pine Creek?
So we actually are stocked with trout, not only in the creek, but also the lake. And then along with trout, you can catch panfish, bass, catfish, but mostly trout. Trout's really what people go for.
And now, let's hear from our sponsors. Keystone Trails Association has released the dates for Trail Care 2026. Give back to the Pennsylvania hiking trails and join a trail care team. Visit kta-hike.org to learn more. It's better outside, especially with a Purple Lizard map in your pack. Their award-winning cartography helps you see the big picture and explore some of the best outdoor destinations in Pennsylvania. Each map reveals trails, forests, and small towns waiting to be discovered, helping you plan, wander, and reconnect with the world around you. Discover the Pennsylvania Outdoor Recreation Map and the full collection at purplelizard.com, where outstanding maps lead to outstanding adventures. Hello, fellow explorers. This is a message from the Pennsylvania Parks and Forests Foundation. You know those incredible state parks and forests Christian talks about in every episode? We're the ones helping make sure they stay incredible. From maintaining the trails you hike to engaging volunteer groups who make your experience better, to supporting conservation projects that protect Pennsylvania's national treasures while keeping these places accessible. We're behind the scenes making it happen. Whether you're planning your next waterfall hike or just dreaming about your favorite overlook, know that PPFF is working to preserve these special places for future generations of explorers. Learn more at paparksandforests.org. Looking to add some Pennsylvania charm to your space? Sister Sunflowers has you covered. Their unique stickers highlight the small local spots that make your community shine, from quirky caves to hidden gems. Perfect for your laptop, water bottle, or anywhere that needs a little hometown love. They've got stickers, magnets, prints, and even a hand-drawn poster to keep track of all the Pennsylvania state parks and forests you've explored. Use code HELLBENDER15 for 15% off your first order. Support local, inspire adventure, and decorate with meaning. Only at Sisters Sunflowers. Looking for a spring getaway that's both peaceful and pulse-pounding? Discover Clarion County in western Pennsylvania. This May 8th and 9th, catch the roar of the Appalachian Mountain Stoll competition as pilots from across the nation tackle gravity-defying takeoffs and landings. Once the excitement winds down, find your quiet in the Forest Cathedral of Cook Forest State Park. Wander through ancient pines, paddle the winding Clarion River, or lose yourself on miles of scenic trails. From high-end Airbnbs and cabins to cozy family campgrounds, your perfect stay is closer than you think. Plan your spring escape at discoverclarioncounty.com. Clarion County, your trailhead to happiness. Feeling stuck under winter layers and winter deadlines? Trade stale meetings for open air. Step out of the office and into the Laurel Highlands for a spring hiking weekend hosted by the Keystone Trails Association from May 1st to 3rd. Plan for 3 exhilarating days filled with more than 40 activities. Enjoy guided hikes and learn about birding, Frank Lloyd Wright's Falling Water, first aid, fly casting, and more. There's even a discounted room rate at the historic Summit Inn. Register today at kta-hike.org. All right, back to the show. What kind of plants and animals might visitors see on a visit?
Yeah, so you'll see your regular deer and porcupine, and if you're lucky enough, you'll see bear. But we also have rattlesnakes, and that's something that this time of year into the summer that are pretty much everywhere. So we always caution people, especially when they're on the trails, to just keep an extra eye out. I've never had any negative run-ins with a rattlesnake, but it is something that's pretty unique about this park.
Can you tell us about the nesting bald eagles?
Yeah, so technically the last year or so, it has been an unsuccessful nesting excuse me. They did try, but it was an unsuccessful nesting year. But there are still many eagles in the park. You can see them and hear them, especially. They're very chatty. So I've seen both juvenile and adult bald eagles, just not nesting where they typically do.
The park features plenty of opportunities to see interesting geology, such as the plant fossils in the cliffs near the top of the dam spillway. What else can visitors see?
Well, I think I mentioned it a little earlier, actually. The rock outcrops on top of Panther Run paint a very rich history of the geological past of the area. Most of the exposed rock that you see are at least 300 million years old, which is very interesting. I know there's a lot of not to go down a super big rabbit hole, so I won't go that way. But there is a lot of interesting geological history of Pine Creek itself, which I think is definitely worth looking into. But yeah, like just the rocks at the top are telling the story of the Allegheny Plateau and the Alleghenian orogeny, and just the area itself with the sandstone and the shale and the conglomerates and the limestone. So it's all very interesting and just fun to look at when you're up on top of Panther Run.
And can you see that on the Spikebuck Hollow Trail as well?
Yes, you can. Yep. Yep.
Little Pine has a variety of camping options available for those that want to visit. What can you tell us about the different options?
Yeah, so we have tent sites, which are non-electric, and we have electric sites, are not full hookup, but electric sites. Those are typically the most popular, especially in the hot days of the summer. People like to have their AC on, and we also have dog pet sites, so those stay pretty popular. And plus, we have 2 yurts, 3 cottages, and an organized group tenting area.
What are the best times of year to see bird migrations at the park?
Late winter and early spring for waterfowl. That's typically when you'll see that sort of migration.
What do you love most about the park?
I love everything about the park, but I specifically love being. I keep putting plugs in for Panther Run, but I do specifically love being on top of Panther Run. And this goes for Love Run up to Mid-State too. When you're on top of the ridge and you can see the other ridges and you feel like you're on top of the world and it's so quiet and you're so far removed from everything else. And I love that feeling. And that's something that really drew me in very quickly. I love trail running. So this park has been my gateway to trail running. And, it's just like the quietness and you're truly surrounded by nature. I feel like when we talk about what state parks really are and what, our mission is, this is it. Like, you're there, you're in a state park and you're really experiencing what it is that we always tell people, like, state parks in Pennsylvania. Like, this is it. You're in it. Like, you're really there.
Yeah. Is there something everyone should experience when they visit?
Um, yes. One, this is not technically in the park, but everyone should go to McConnell's and get a milkshake because that's what I do all summer long when it gets really hot. But it's like 2 minutes from us. And then really, it's just being on the trails and fishing. I would say everyone should try fly fishing while they're here. It's an experience that I think anyone would enjoy. And it is very popular here, but I think everyone should try it. It's a good place to try it. And then just taking a walk and experiencing what Little Pine has to offer with the mountains and I mean we have the Lakeshore Trail, so everyone should check that out. It's a much easier trail. And you can see the lake and you're basically on top of the lake and it takes you over to these old farm fields. So you get a little bit of everything.
If a visitor has a full weekend to explore the park, what would you recommend they do?
If a visitor has a full weekend, I would recommend that they picnic at Lower Picnic Area. It's very quiet down there, very far removed from the park. It's still part of the park, but it is technically outside just a little bit. Definitely go to the rail trail, but also experience Little Pine itself. Like I said, Little Lakeshore Trail, Panther Run, all really fantastic trails. We do have a shooting range here, so come get your permit and head on down to the shooting range.
A visitor only has a couple hours. What do you think they should see?
I think they should sit along the lake and look for the eagles because they'll
Hmm.
definitely see them. So they should definitely sit down there, have a picnic, and look for the bald eagles.
Are there any lesser known spots or activities at the park you'd recommend for returning visitors looking for something new?
I always tell people who have been here, well, one, if they haven't been to Lower Picnic Area, to try to go down there and splash around in the water when it gets hot and fish a little bit. But also the Mid-State Trail that is in our campground offers absolutely stunning views. So I typically will tell people, oh, if you've exhausted all the other trails in the park, head on over to Mid-State from the campground because it really is a special trail.
What sort of environmental education programs can visitors sign up for at the park?
We have a ton. So watershed education, which is offered for typically Ian, our educator, offers that for local students, but he's getting very involved. So I can see that program growing a lot. School groups come, so there's different programs involved when the school groups are here. Bat, firefly, and wildflower programs, CCC history programs, astronomy programs. There are a ton, and especially this time of year with he does spring and summer ambiance programs. So those are definitely worthwhile going to.
Do you have a favorite one?
Oh, fireflies and astronomy.
I mean, yeah, you gotta love
Yeah,
fireflies and
you gotta.
astronomy.
And then like he does, a hike around and then they look for fireflies. It's so fun.
Do you have any tips for people who plan on visiting the park or any suggestions to make their visit as enjoyable as possible?
Um, Definitely not only get a milkshake from McConnell's, get a sandwich from McConnell's. So go pick up your lunch, head on over to the park, have a nice picnic, go for a little walk, experience, the bald eagles, go fishing on the lake, there's just an endless amount of opportunities here, especially just to be surrounded by nature. Just take a moment, take a breath, look around you, and just feel you and feel the area because it is really special. It's very unique and it's very special.
I also feel like Little Pine is a perfect home base to like see as much as you can in the park and then also so many places outside of the park.
Yeah, there are so many places, and you don't even have to go far for it. Slate Run is a beautiful area. A lot of people love to go up there. Everything is basically accessible by the Pine Creek Rail Trail, but really, like Slate Run is absolutely stunning. It's probably 25 minutes from the park, by car, and they have another little country store you can check out. But like just the mountains and the way that I don't even know how to describe it. It almost feels like you're not in Pennsylvania anymore. It kind of feels like how when I've been in Vermont or New Hampshire, that's what it feels like to me. And I think you can really get that when you're up at Slate Run. And there's also a lot of really cool trails up that way too. Like if you're a trail runner or even if you're just a hiker, you don't have to be a runner, but like when people say they like trail running, I always send them up to Slate Run area. And there's also the Black Forest Trail, which is another really big loop. There's just so much in the area.
Well, Haley, I want to thank you so much for talking to us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I want to thank my guest, Haley Redmond, for joining the podcast. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Meta for more information about upcoming episodes. You can support the podcast by buying merch at hemlockstohellbenders.com, or you can click support this show in the podcast description to provide a monthly donation. This has been Hemlocks to Hellbenders. I'll see you out there. Hosting, production, and editing by Christian Alexanderson. Music by John Sauer. Graphics by Matt Davis.